Hey guys, what's up? Chronodragon here, and today I'm here with another deck profile. This time around we'll be doing deck profile on the Chronojet Dragon deck, as requested by a lot of people. And yeah, originally I wasn't gonna pick this deck up because I do not think the price for this deck justifies its performance. I do think Alt Mile is the best bang for your buck, not duck. If you are trying to play in a more meta way, but we'll talk about it a bit later. But let's get right into that profile first. So starting Vanguard, we're running Chronodragon, best boy. So we're running Chronodragon. Next, we are running 4 Chronojet Dragons because this deck is the Chronojet Dragon deck, and we're only running these 4 grade 3s. If you don't ride into this, you should be worried. So we're only running these. If you don't get him in your first hand, definitely mulligan until you get a grade 3 searcher or him. So if you do have a grade 3 searcher in your hand, like Steam Breath Dragon, then keep it and then roll everything else, because you really want to ride into this card. Yeah, he's really good with Nextage because you can pretty much do a restand attack, and the second attack will guard restrict sentinels. So yeah, pretty strong, especially if you are going into Force 2 and you have 2 criticals slamming your opponent's face. They are most likely going to try to guard, but yeah, there is one downside to this deck though, and that's the fact that Chronodragon Nextage does have a restriction of only being able to use a skill when your opponent has grade 3 or above Vanguard. So in that aspect, it's weaker than Chronofang Tiger Rebellion, but it's still okay. It's still okay. It's still not bad. And he does give your Chronojet Dragon plus 15k when you restand, so very, very strong. Makes your guard restricting attack even bigger, but he does require you to ditch 2, so keep that in mind. Keep those cards in hand. Don't try to overextend yourself when you are going for your plays, because you might not be able to finish your opponent off, and you'll have kind of a hard time guarding. But there's cards in this deck that can help you mitigate some of those downsides, but we'll talk about those later also. For the second grade 4 we're running is Metaka Phoenix. This is mainly just for using when your opponent is still on grade 2, but you ride grade 3 first. And the extra drive check, so this is triple drive, it helps you kind of mitigate your discard for the Pseudo-Stride. So I kind of like Metaka Phoenix, and it's pretty budget too, so that's nice. Next, we're running 4 Steam Gear Dragon. So this card is one of our very key cards in the deck. His second skill turns all of your cards into Stride fodder, so it's pretty good. A lot of times your opponent are going to try and go for it, so be wary of that. Second skill, the first skill, when you ride a grade 4, you can Soul Blast 1 to draw a card when this card attacks, and it also gets plus 5k when it does that. So pretty good at replenishing your hand. So definitely one of the key players in this deck. Speaking of key players, Ikrab is also a pretty key player. He gives your Vanguard plus 1 drive, and this works when you ride into him too. But do be careful, you do have to discard a card and counter loss 1 to use this cost. So if you have nothing, if you have really good cards in your hand, you might not want to use them if you ride into him. So yeah. And he also counts as a grade 3 as a Stride fodder. But he is kind of an expensive Stride fodder to use. So most of the time you do prefer to have slap a Steam Gear Dragon on the field first, and then go for your Pseudo-Stride. Alright, next we are running 4 Steam Mechanic Nabu. So this is another guard restrict card, except she restricts grade 1 or above cards, and she also goes into soul after the end of battle that you use skill. and you do have a bind card in your drop zone. So she helps you replenish your hand and replenish your soul. So she does kind of combo with Steam Gear Dragon. So I kind of like her. The guard restrict is not too big of a deal, but it can be a game changer sometimes. Not all the time, but it does come in handy sometimes. But mainly she's here for the extra draw as well as the soul charge. Next, we're running 4 Steam Breath Dragon. This is another very key card in the deck. If you don't open with Chronojet Dragon, but you do have one of this, you still have a chance to get it. So definitely recommend maxing 4 of these and running 4 of these in all your Gear Chronicle decks. And he's also a 13k booster, so what's not to like about him? So this is a Chrono Tooth Tiger, another very expensive card, and he's one of the cards that can help you mitigate the discard costs. So on Vanguard Circle, at the beginning of a ride phase, you can draw 1, so it helps you kind of plus a bit. And the second skill is on a turn during your turn when you discard this card, you can counterblast 1 and draw a card, and then call this card as rest. So if you do discard it for Chronojet Dragon or Ikrab or Chronojet Dragon Nextage, Chronodragon Nextage, you can proc his skill to get that extra card, get those extra cards. So yeah, this is one of the reasons why he's so expensive now, along with this card. They kind of make the deck work. So there's a lot of really, really good cards in this deck. Next, we are running 3 Quickie Worker. Quickie. So skill is when you call this from hand, choose a card in your drop zone and put it at the bottom of the deck. And if it's a grade 3 or above card, then you can soul blast 2 to draw a card. Mainly, personally for me, she's not really here for the soul blast 2 draw 1. She's here for the grade 4 recycle. If you damage check all your grade 4s or all of them are in your hand, then you might lose out a lot. So she's here for that, and the +1 is just kind of like the icing on top. So I'm running 3 because I'd rather save my Soul Blast for Steam Gear Dragons, but hey, you do you. So here's the trigger lineup. We are running 6 crit, 4 Pro Guard Sentinels, 2 draws, and 4 heals. So here is where I'm a bit iffy on this build. I tried maxing out the crits, but when I tried that, I felt like running draws would be more helpful because you do discard a lot in this deck, and having a defensive draw trigger in this deck also helps, and it doesn't hurt as much when you discard one of these. But one of the things that I have a problem with running the crit for is when I do want to finish my opponent and I draw when I trigger a draw instead of a crit, I'm like, I could have killed them, but it's a draw, so I can't kill him. But yeah, it's up to you guys. Personally, I do think running the draws make the deck a little bit more consistent in consistently being able to discard stuff. But if you want to be more aggressive, I do recommend running the crits instead. So that's pretty much it for this deck. It is very explosive, and when you do get the right draws, this deck is amazing. It flows really well, and it's pretty relentless in its attacks. Swinging with your Vanguard twice with double crit, and the second one with guard restrict does put quite a strain on your opponent's hand. But again, the main problem with this deck is it's not as consistent as the other 2 decks in the set, I believe. It is more explosive. In my opinion, it is more explosive. Alt-Mal can be really explosive if you manage to soul charge your Alt-Mal with Pongo on your first grade 3 ride, but that is very, very rare. So In terms of, you know, explosiveness, I do think this build is a bit more explosive, but I do think this deck is too expensive. If I didn't get it for a good price, I probably would never pick this deck up. But one of the bright side is I can play premium gears at the end of this month. I'll still be playing with this deck while the premium collection isn't out yet, but I'll probably switch over to the premium version of this build once I do get the stuff. So stay tuned for the deck profile for that. But yeah, I'm really excited for the premium collection stuff. I think Gears has a lot of potential, and it's going to be very fun. Same with Royals. I think Royals is going to be very, very fun too. I already have a few deck ideas for the Royal Paladin Stride. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this deck profile. Not much else to say about that. This is Chronotaku, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!